Well, long time no see. Hopefully, my old friends don't see this and all of my embarrassment and shame, especially the ones from recovery, Audia, and I don't even remember what her name is, Maritza. Yo, Maritza. 2022, I left Pennsylvania, came out here to Colorado, Denver Metro, to build a second story on a garage. Turned out good. Took me longer than I wanted it to, which seems to be um, my MO, I guess. I'm good at it, but slow. I like to get super artsy with things, especially if I'm in charge of design. But I get tired easily, and in this project especially, it was like middle winter, and I'm trying to stand up 2x6 walls, and they're really heavy. But I was doing it by myself, so I was getting frustrated. And when it would snow, I'd still go to work and still get criticized for, I don't know, not working enough. But a lot of that too is my old programming from being in Pennsylvania, where I could wake up whenever I wanted, do whatever I wanted, go to the gym, do whatever I wanted some more, you know, and then make content and media at the end of the day, which is something I still like to do, but just forgot to keep doing it, I guess. So anyway, got the second story done. My grandma died. Triggered my abandonment issues. I went on a month-long binge of alcohol, drinking alcohol, the booze. And I'm not sure if I've ever drank that hard that fast before. And when I was drinking, I definitely was either blacked out or close to blacked out most of it, and it felt often like I was grieving my grandma's past as well, not just her, but her like shadow, And I came up with a theory on that, and that is that when you are, she was pretty much my mom, right? Like she was around from my time I was 3 to 7. And those are like very developmental. But my theory now is that when you are raised by a person, that person's shadow and energy enters into your heart and subconscious and becomes a part of your personality. And this will become relevant later. My grandma was a raging codependent, toxic codependent even. Not so much when I was with her, but like definitely in her younger years. Her father was quote unquote a womanizer, which I think meant molester and rapist of his daughters. At least that's what it felt like. And then, plus also I learned that her brother, who used to live with us, he was shit, I can't even think of it right now. Jehovah's Witness. He had his wife with him. They lived in the house, and apparently every, I don't know how often, but he was very regularly molesting his stepdaughter, who was my age, and I guess people knew it but didn't say anything. I don't know. So that was annoying. It does make sense though, because I think we were both 7. But we would experiment with sex. It's like, why do we know how to do this? Like, I remember thinking that to myself, and that it was very unusual. Even at that age, I was like, something's weird here. And then, anyway, that's my grandma. And then, after that, I got sober again for like a week or two. Started teaching classes at Phoenix gym called Mindful Muscle. I created my own classes for people to lift weights with and meditate, and it was really fun and I enjoyed it. But shortly thereafter, I met this woman named Meg. That is her real name, and I have no shame whatsoever of putting it out there. I'm gonna give you her last name, but the first night we met, she told me some stories. It sounded really sketch, like she used to prostitute herself for cocaine. And what I thought that meant was when she was younger, she ran into a drug problem and turned to prostitution because it's an easy thing to do for most women to buy cocaine. What it actually meant was that when she was younger, she would go have sex with random people, like a normal prostitute. But now, in 2023, she no longer did that. Instead, she would just go right to the coke dealer and have sex with them for cocaine. So that was a stupid part on me. However, this is all going to highlight my toxic codependency, actually, which I'm not proud of, but it's kind of one of those things where I was watching myself and doing all these stupid things and knowing what I was doing and then not pulling the trigger on stopping them. So anyway, aside from that, Meg also had just left her long-term boyfriend, and what I learned was boyfriend meant he bought her as a prostitute years ago for a weekend at a hotel. They got all messed up and quote-unquote clicked, and had been off and on for the next 7 years or so. So it's very classic toxic codependent. Like they're together 6-8 years, and then they have a huge blow up, usually with her sleeping with some dude or something like that. He kicks her out, sometimes violently, and then they just keep doing that cycle. When I met her, the situation with him, Jay, his name's Jay, also no shame in telling you what his name is. You'll probably put this together later. He got a restraining order on her because she threatened to stab him with a knife, and she got arrested for felony menacing. I think she was a felony level 2, I think, or 3 maybe, I can't remember. But there's that aspect of it, and then at some point she was in his apartment. He started chasing her. This is all according to her, so it's probably a big lie. But he started chasing her. She got to the 2.5-story balcony and jumped off, shattered her pelvis, like dislocated her eye to the point where it was always looking down, and then split her forehead open. So despite all that data, I kept fucking her because she came over one night and I hadn't been laid in a while, so I was like, I'm gonna fuck this girl. So that's what I did. And then despite her continual efforts to connect with coke dealers during that time, I kept her around. Not sure why. I think some of it is because she asked me to help her become a better person, and that was really, really stupid on my part to agree. I think when you agree to things like that, you're kind of locking yourself into like a commitment, and I think she knows that, and that's part of her manipulation. Hold on. Oh, it's so good. Bacon cheddar, cheeseburger, air fryer, so good. So her and I, we're Or kind of like boyfriend, girlfriend, I guess. I don't know if I ever put that label on it, but she was more, for me, she was just like a hanger-on and an easy source of vagina. Horrible thing for me to think, but there it is. I failed a construction project, another one, a different one, which included, part of that included our rent, so upon failure I was no longer allowed to live there. I moved to an extended stay, and then she got, how'd that work? We had moved, or gone to Rhode Island to get her car, and I helped her drive it back. Paying for most of it, of course. And then when we went to the extended stay, I guess she had called Jay drunk, and he filed a motion for violation of probation or restraining order probation. And then she got arrested for a DUI, and she got out, and then she got she had to go to court, and when she went there was a warrant for her arrest, and so she got remanded in court. I was with her. I took her car home, even though I didn't have a driver's license. Went back to the hotel, chilled out, and then, called her on the phone and stuff. It was kind of fun, actually. Like, I've never actually called a girl on the phone while she was in jail. This is like a new experience. But when it was time for her to get out, I told her I would do that, and the night before I had drank quite a bit. On my way, and I knew I was pretty buzzed too, so on my way there, car, she got a flat, and I took that as a sign that I shouldn't go there. And then instead of driving up there, I put new tires on it and drove up there anyway, and then wrecked her car on the way up there. Got my DUI, and then when I was in jail, she hooked up with my friend, who was a coke dealer, and kind of did like a father-son thing all weekend in exchange for cocaine and booze. I tripped out on that, didn't like it, went back to the hotel. She was all like, "No, wait, Ryan, you said you were gonna work it out." I'm like, "Fuck you, I'm not working shit out." And then she stayed at my friend's house and kept doing that. But when she got back to the hotel, for some reason I let her back in. Don't know why. I guess I was lonely, right? Fear of abandonment. This weird twisted sense of like false loyalty. Like, it's super, super twisted. Let's see how that worked. We got kicked out of the hotel because she had the cops called on her too many times. She tried to get me arrested for domestic violence, which was false. And then the cops did decide that that was also false. And then she tried to get me arrested for Grand Theft Auto on her car, saying that that's the reason it got destroyed. She almost got a felony for that because the police officer started putting stuff together and was like, "Hey, that doesn't make sense." So she just got misdemeanor. And then she got so drunk that she had to go to the hospital. There's more to that story, but I'm not going to get into it. When she got out of the hospital, I let her in to get her shit. And then I guess the hotel at that time had put not a restraining order, was it trespassing? Maybe there's a restraining order of sorts on the property, and so they saw her come in, called the police, she got trespassing. I don't think she got arrested for that though, but I did get kicked out also because I kept letting her back in. So we left the hotel, and she was driving super crazy because she was wasted. We both were. What was that? Grapefruit vodka of some sort. Big grapefruit cereals. So I called the police because she wouldn't stop and I wanted to get out of the car. And they tracked us down with telephone signals and stuff. She got arrested. They left me in the car of a supermarket parking lot, and I was doing all right until that night when I wanted to sleep. So I tried to move the car to the edge of the parking lot and ran it up on the cement wall and got another DUI. So that's 2 DUIs in a few months for me. Her as well. My dad bailed me out of Arapahoe County. Arapahoe County is disgusting. I never want to go back there again. And when he bailed me out, he gave me like an extra grand or something. And so, stupid me, I bailed her out. Let's see what else happened. Isn't this a crazy story? It's fucking stupid. And then she got, the judge said, you have to go to treatment to her. And so I took her to treatment a couple days later after bailing her out in Fort Collins. And I was like, kind of like, this is the last thing that I'm willing to put up with. If she doesn't get better after this, then I'm done. And I actually meant it. So I actually followed through with it. She got her treatment, started getting wasted the next day. I kicked her out of the hotel room because when she gets drunk, she gets crazy and sometimes violent. And I didn't want to deal with that. She gets rapey too. She's kind of a rapist when drinking. It's creepy. It's like her eyes go black, and she just starts chasing me around until you give her dick. It's gross. It's like she's possessed. So we did that, and then we had an insurance check from a previous settlement she had. She took off from the room, got another room for a week, which was like $1,200. And I was like, no, that's really, really stupid. And so I tracked her down and I grabbed her debit card. And then we went and met with her landlord and signed a lease. I was on the lease, she was on the lease. We used the money from the settlement that she got to secure an apartment. And I think it was the day of us moving in there, she somehow added her mother's credit card to her Apple Pay or something and bought a bunch of vodka and shooters. And when I found out, I was like, you need to get the fuck out of here. I'm not putting up with your shit while you're wasted. And she did. She got another hotel, this time at like a Sheraton or something, so it was even more expensive. And it took me a few days to like track her down. I mean, she was calling me every night, but like 50, 60, 70 times a night. But I had blocked her, and then she would call, *69 or whatever, and I would still ignore it. But I finally tracked her down to a specific hotel. I went there. She doesn't remember me being there. There was evidence of a dude being there in multiple ways, I guess. capacities, I should say. So I was like, hey, we're done. I left, back to the apartment. She tried to come back, and on the way back, she found a Lyft driver that was all methed out, and they started smoking meth and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I locked the door in the house so she couldn't come in. And then I called the cops. It's like, I don't know what to do. She's really whacked out. I don't know what she's on. And she came back. I had to let her in because she's on the lease, according to the police. 2 days later, she started tripping out, saying her family's all screaming at her for being a drunk and shaming her and all this stuff. And then she started thinking I was going to stab her with a butcher knife. So I called 911. Turns out that is a normal response to withdrawing from methamphetamine. So she went to the hospital, got tested for meth, came back positive. And then I found out she was trying to... by this time, the restraining order against her from Jay was lifted. So she had started calling him on the regular basis again. And this time he started answering and being all nice, like this is their pattern, you know? So I found out she was going to run away to him because he also had a bunch of money when he was getting really coked up. And on her way, she got arrested again for kicking a police officer. Turns out, while she was in jail, she got a pregnancy test. She was pregnant. And I did a very irresponsible thing. Like, I definitely participated in getting her pregnant. I thought if I got her pregnant, then she'd stay sober, right? For at least 9 months, and maybe that would give her enough time to get some traction in recovery. So got a lot of shame around that because now my son was born last year, July 20th. I haven't seen him yet because I had my own jail stuff to do from the DUIs I got, but also because they would not give me my son's address, so I couldn't file for paternity. And then when I was in jail, they left to Rhode Island. I still don't know that will come. Why refuse to talk to me at this point? I'm leaving everything in the hands of lawyers and courts and stuff. I don't want to. You're so manipulative. I just don't want to deal with it. So I was left with a lease in Fort Collins by myself. The landlord was really sweet and cute. And when I found out Meg was in jail, I walked outside. I was going to the store or something, and I looked over to the left. My landlord was just bawling her eyes out. I was like, "You all right?" You know, and she's like, "Well, I just found out my husband's in jail." I was like, "Oh my God, me too." And then we had like this weird bonding moment, and we hugged. And we hugged, I felt like a cord plugged into my heart or something. And I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that I can recall. And so that experience gave me a sense of curiosity about her and the connection. I wasn't sure if she experienced it or not, but, you know, I continued to think about her often, including, you know, yanking one out here and there while thinking about her. So all that happened. I went to jail. When I got out of jail, I found out my son was gone. I got a hold of my landlord, and I had owed her a bunch of money from rent, like thousands. And when I got to pay it off, I got her roof approved for replacement from the insurance company. And that was kind of my getting square with her. And when I got out of jail, she spent all the money. She spent the insurance check on other things. So she could not afford to get the roof replaced anymore. So I told her, well, there's a little money left in it. I'll help you out. You know, she wanted her husband to be a part of it. I said, that's not a good idea, but I agreed anyway. And I kicked him off the job within a week because he wouldn't show up. When he did show up, he's all fucked up, blah, blah. And then it was just a nightmare from that time till now. Like, I just got the fucking roof done today, and I think I started working on it, like, maybe the beginning of June or some shit. Today's July. So, she had a couple blowouts with me about the progress, which I understand. It's been going slow. But, you know, I lost labor right off the bat. She was able to produce labor on occasion. And so I kind of feel like I was left doing all the work by myself. And it was like 100 degrees. Like, there was a few days and it was like 100 degrees in a row. And I'm a redhead, so I can't take it. Like, it fucks me up really, really bad. So we had some blow-ups about just all that. And I think the last one, the first one was actually just about this guy said I have bad craftsmanship because I made a mistake on the steel roof, like one mistake. So he told her that, and he told her he saw me on the roof crying and not working, which is because I ran out of my antidepressants and I was crashing on them. So he's a little bitch. But Ellie took all that to heart, which, you know, we had a meeting and an escalade about it, and it almost turned into her and I kissing and all this other stuff because we had been flirting prior to, it's been growing. Took it out, and I found out while we were fighting. I was like, wait, are we fighting? Because it felt like we were fighting, like we were, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend kind of thing. And she's like, yes. And I was like, wait. So when I first met you, I had this like plug-in connection with you that I felt. Did you feel that too? And she's like, yes. It was like planting a seed. And I was like, oh shit. So yeah, like that fight was okay. And then she came out again, like super irate. And I just sat there and took it. Got the roof done. And that day, she came to pick me up. She's taking me to the bus station. My trip was, my round trip from Denver to Fort Collins was like 5.5 to 6 hours. Plus I was working in the sun, so it was like, you know, pretty wiped out every day. But when she got to the bus station, I got upset because I said something along the lines of, you know, I thought about if your comments about me not working enough had merit, and I've decided that they didn't, and that I did the best I could, and that your opinion about it, you know, there's nothing I can do about it. And she started, you know, starting to pick a fight, like, you really mean there's no merit? Like, no, there's not. Because I did do the best I could. Like, I overcame every obstacle that happened, like a leader would, and she was still upset about it. So, apparently 72 hours a week staying with her. And then, I don't know, I got like pretty assertive. People just showed up. They're gonna hear me talk. So anyway, I got really assertive. She started pushing me on the merit question. I just told her, like, hey, we're not gonna agree on this. So there's no point in talking about it. And then I went further and said that I'm a man. One of the things I learned in jail was that I'm a man of high talents and skills, and that I choose where to take those talents and skills and spend my time. And I've been choosing every chance I can to come here to complete this work. It's not something I have to do. And then I wrapped it up with just because I can take the heat, her heat of going toxic, doesn't mean I will. She got really soft in the face, and I could tell there was a lot of love there, and shocked. I don't think she's been with men that stand up to her like that, because she's really, really pretty, blonde hair, blue eyes, she's got a yoga body, all that kind of stuff. People think she has money, but she's not. She's living paycheck to paycheck. And anyway, after that conversation, she softened a lot and asked me to send her more information on Lilith, because I had been telling her about her, I guess. That's one of the things in jail that happened. I'm going to talk about is I got into Samael and Lilith, which are two deities in Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. And they're extremely powerful. I found a lot of really good power, I guess, in them. Creepy. They're so powerful. So I'm kind of, I guess that's where I'm at today. I've been trying to figure out what to do with her, because she's married, but also I don't think she's completely married in her heart anymore. I think it's more of a finality, just cut the strings, do the paperwork kind of thing. But, she's married to a meth head, so where that happens, there's always toxic codependency, which most people are unable to see because it looks like, victimhood and martyrdom, and it's really easy to blame the addict. And the reality is that the codependent is just as destructive and sick. So, I call Ellie out on that shit too. But she's looking for growth, I think. She's looking for something to change. And I think when she dropped off the SUV, what I really saw in her face was she realized that her behaviors can cause harm to people. And that's a big step for a codependent. And very rarely do they look at themselves in the mirror. That's the whole point of having an addict or alcoholic around, is you can avoid looking at yourself by looking at everything they do, right? Because they're loud and obnoxious about it. Codependent's sneaky. They're very Machiavellian. And I have an office, obviously. I don't have a studio, which I miss, but I'll get one soon. And I've actually been using AI to work through some of these feelings and stuff, because it's been really difficult for me. And I started writing books along the line of, Jungian psychology overlapping with Tree of Life, guided by Samael and Lilith, or something stupid like that, right? And they're actually pretty profound, I think. I think they're really good books. They're really good material. I'm sure I'll have some rabbis question the authority of it, which is fine, whatever. Kabbalah is very esoteric and loosely interpreted, so I'm borrowing heavily from that and just relying on my own experiences, because some of the things Samael and Lilith do is remove shadow and push shadow to the surface so that it can be exposed and healed or transformed or integrated, whatever. So yeah. The couple fights we've had are actually leading to spiritual growth. I've been able to pull out abandonment. I think the behavior I caught for me today is I'll feel abandonment is coming, the fear of it, and then I will hyper vigilantly look for evidence that that's true from their behavior and stuff, the other person's behavior. And then I'll also kind of like take the offensive, right? Like if I think it's true, then I'll start getting motivated by pushing them away in a way that'll kill the relationship before they have the chance to continue. And I kind of learned that what that does is keep me away from being present with the other person. You know, like it prevents a heart connection if you have that kind of fear running around in your head. And I also learned that my codependency, you know, definitely showed strongly with Megan and all that went on with that. But I also noticed with Ellie that it shows with trying to heal codependence, right? Like she's having a hard time. I know what kind of codependency is rooted in, so I'm trying to guide her into it, like some kind of, you know, sage, magician, or savior or something. And so it's like a codependent trying to codependently fix another codependent, which is another way of avoiding intimacy. And I think that's, you know, they're important things to realize because just none of my relationships with women have been satisfying. On like an intimate level, like I think Anya could have been, but it's hard to say because I think she has her own codependency issues, of course, even though she's Russian. Russians have codependency issues too, you know. So, there you go. But it eliminates presence and connection because you're filled with judgment. Like to rescue someone, you need to be judging them as meaningless. And there's judgment when connection stops. So, after our last fight, I started getting all those anxious. I got really triggered with the abandonment. I started peeling that apart with the help from AI, actually. And that's when I became aware of that behavior. It's an old pattern. You know, push them away before they push you away. And once I became aware of that, I started getting centered again. My anxiety went away. I settled back into my life. And then I realized that Ellie was actually being super vulnerable with me during the argument. You know, her facial expressions were very much filled with love, but also like this regret or shock. And then afterwards, you know, she, in a very, very soft way, almost like a little girl was talking through her. She asked for me to send her more information on Lilith. So after I had dealt with all of my stuff, I realized what she was doing was realizing that she hurts people and that she doesn't want to do it. She's probably been trying to do it for a long time and not making a lot of progress. And so she was asking for resources to be better, which is a big deal, especially for adults. Like we get programmed very strongly that we should do everything ourselves. And it's just not true. So that's where I'm at. You know, fall in love with a married woman. That's married. And, of course, I just said that. And about 80 miles away. I'm working on making coloring books for Amazon, selling on my websites, which is going to be really fun. I'm actually installing AI directly onto my computer. I didn't know I could do that, but I can. Because Chat and Gemini, they're very limited in the images they can create. Like they can't get too explicit or even like suggestively explicit. So I need to have a new program, and I'm using Chat to teach me how to download it, because you got to use PowerShell or command prompt in Windows, and like do some Python coding and all this other stuff to get it ready. But once it's ready, I guess it's really beneficial to have it. I do have a laptop strong enough to do it. It's a gaming laptop, so it's got 2 GPUs in it. It should be fine. The CPU is pretty good too, but I guess I'm a little less. But yeah, I found this other program called OBS. You can record all your computer screens or whatever ones you want to record, and then upload that video. So I think I'm going to be doing that. As I'm working and creating, I'll have my AI window open, giving it prompts, taking the images, adjusting them with Photoshop, creating little coloring books and whatnot, and then just like I did when I was in Pennsylvania and had an art studio, I'll be dropping little nuggets of self-awareness, I guess you could say. Maybe if you stretch it, a little wisdom, maybe. And I'm gonna try to keep my life on track here. I gotta find my kid and this to totally get up to. I'm hoping that when I do find them, the judge is going to be very upset with them, because technically they didn't do anything illegal, because I don't have a paternity, but they stopped getting paternity, so it's kind of a weird sitch. Alright, well, I'm going to finish this hamburger and then make really awkward noises into the mic, smoke a cigarette, and then I'm going to come back and try to install the AI program with you guys. Alright, peace out. Nice talking to you again.